Grab your favorite alcoholic or non-alcoholic beverage. Please don't drink and drive, and drink responsibly, and sit back and relax and enjoy our very first podcast of 2024. Welcome to Why Complain When You Can Whine, making sense of the senseless. Join me while I attempt to make sense of toxic nonsense while drinking wine. I am Dr. Jody Larman, licensed clinical psychologist in the state of California. Therefore, anything and everything we discuss on this podcast is purely for psychoeducational and entertainment purposes only. Now, tonight is New Year's Eve. I am not drinking wine. I'm not drinking champagne. What I am drinking is something that was so good the last time I had it, and that is my chocolate Bailey's, real Belgian chocolate, in my iced coffee, in my wine glass that says, "Wine a bit, you'll cheer better," with my Dallas Cowboys star, because I am a huge Dallas Cowboy. Ooh, that sounded weird. I am a huge Dallas Cowboys fan. You can see my Dallas Cowboy stuff there, my Dallas Cowboy there. And we won yesterday. we beat the Lions, and the Eagles lost today. So currently we are in first place in the division. We have already clinched a playoff spot, but would love to come in first. That's going to depend on next week, I believe. We need to beat the Commanders. The Giants need to beat the Eagles. And if you're not a football fan, this means absolutely nothing to you. But if you are a football fan, you either hate the Cowboys and are just rooting for them to lose, or you're a Cowboy fan. Either one. You either love them or hate them. And personally, I don't care if you hate them, because I love them. Now, the Giants, I'm not expecting them to necessarily beat the Eagles, but I think if we beat the Commanders, we still clinch the NFC East. I'm not 100% sure, but we're going to the Super Bowl. At least that's what we say every year. That's what every Dallas Cowboys fan says. Maybe not every, but we're going to the Super Bowl. Might not be playing it, but we're going. Anyways, so by the time you see this, it is going to be 2024. And I wanted to come on and make a podcast. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I recorded a whole podcast, downloaded it. My mic wasn't working. I don't know why. It showed it was working, but there was absolutely no sound. So I tried my mic again and realized not working. So I have to re-record this. And this time we're hoping it works. And I'm hoping I can remember everything that I said the last time. So I did want to come on for New Year's. And one of the main things I wanted to do was to thank everybody that has supported us throughout the year. Everyone who has listened to us across all our platforms, watched us on YouTube, who has subscribed, who has liked, who has shared, and who has commented. Thank you guys so much. Your support means so much to me. And everybody that we've had on as guests, Spiritual Whistleblower, Comrades in Q, Brianna Lee, I thank you guys so much as well. And you're always welcome back. And Brianna's going to be back. And I thank Ashley and Heather for their part in the past year with this podcast. Without you guys, this podcast never would have got off the ground. Now, where it's going to go in 2024, there's some exciting things planned. We've got some controversial topics to discuss, new co-hosts coming on, and I'm really excited for 2024. And I hope you guys will continue to follow us into the new year and be just as excited about the changes that are going to be happening. I also wanted to talk about New Year's resolution. I am not a New Year's resolution person. New Year's resolutions are meant to be broken. As a matter of fact, the Forbes Health One poll survey found that the average resolution lasts 3.74 months. It's actually pretty good, better than I thought. The poll also revealed that just 8% of respondents tend to stick with their goals for 1 month, while 22% last 2 months, 22% last 3 months, and 13% last 4 months. So I don't like resolutions because in essence, to me, you're setting yourself up for failure. And I don't believe we should be doing that. We should be our own best friends. We should set ourselves up for success. So what do we do instead? 2024 is a blank open book filled with 366 blank pages broken up into 12 chapters. We get to write our story every single day. How do you want your story to look like? I ask my clients at the end of every year, I ask them to think back, and I do this myself. Reflect upon 2023. What did you like about yourself? What did you like about what you did, how you acted, how the year went? And what didn't you like? And what do you want to leave in 2023? Like toxicity and negativity and things like that. What do you want to leave in 2023? And what do you want to bring with you in 2024? Now, we can't control other people. We can only control ourselves. But with our behaviors, our responses, our reactions, we can influence people. We can hopefully, not manipulation in a negative way, but hopefully influence them to go the way that we had hoped. Like if we want someone to be our friend, we're going to do things to hopefully influence them to like us, not people pleasing, something totally different, but to influence them. We're going to be nice. We're going to be polite. We're hopefully going to be ourselves though, and not fake and phony, so that we can influence them. When we're in a job interview, we're trying to influence them to see us as the best candidate. So we can only control ourselves, but we can hopefully influence other people to behave in ways that are more beneficial for us and them. Now, reflecting back and looking at the changes that we might want to make, like I am a work in progress. We are all a work in progress. And for me, I look at things like, I really want to love myself more. I work on that every single day. I want to be more accepting of my flaws and more accepting of myself in general. And the things that I don't like about myself, if I'm able to change them, I try. Like being more positive, like being more compassionate, more empathic. But all of that comes from me having to love myself more first. Because if I don't, then it's hard to reflect that for other people. But I'm a work in progress. It is not a resolution that I will love myself this year. It is something that I did pretty well with in 2023, and I want to continue doing. And every day when I wake up, I try. Sometimes it doesn't go the way that I want it to. Sometimes it doesn't go well at all. But for the most part, it's getting better and better. And it's better than it was. So when you make a resolution, it's kind of an all or nothing. But when you look at the past year, or even more than that, and you see how far you've come and what you want to do to continue that. Now, sometimes that means going to therapy. If you have trauma and it's really been getting to you and it's really been affecting your life, and you need to gain control over that trauma because the trauma has control over you right now, that might mean going to therapy. And I'm going to tell you, therapy is not easy, but it can be completely life-changing. It should be completely life-changing in a positive way. Now, people are going to say, it's too expensive. I don't have insurance. It's too hard to get therapy. And I'm going to tell you, there is in every single state, you can find free mental health therapy. All you have to do is type in your Google search, free mental health in whatever state you're in. You can also go to your state's webpage and type in mental health, free mental health. A lot of people don't like that. When they hear free mental health, they are like, oh, but I don't want to go, because it's clinicians that really, they're just starting out or they don't know anything. And that's not true. Yeah, there are going to be some interns there because we all have to do an internship and start somewhere. But I worked in community mental health. When I was licensed, I have a lot of colleagues that worked in community mental health as licensed clinicians. So credentials, I'm going to tell you, credentials are very important. They are. You want someone that is licensed or working toward licensure under the supervision of someone licensed. But what's more important than anything is the number one predictor of outcome of therapy is the rapport between the client and the clinician. So regardless of the credentials, and they must have credentials. But regardless of the credentials, they could be a PhD, a PsyD, an LCSW, a licensed mental health professional, a marriage family therapist, any of those. If the rapport between you and them just clicks, that's what's important. You can have the most credentialed, best therapist in the world, and you don't click with them, therapy isn't going to work. So I recommend you're allowed to clinician shop, but your very first appointment is going to be an intake. So a lot of times people are like, yeah, but I did nothing. This was kind of a waste. It's not. So your very first appointment should be, and every clinician should be doing a very thorough biopsychosocial history. It might not all get done in the first session, but they need to take a biopsychosocial history. If they don't, that's a huge red flag. And I don't care how well you get along with them. They need to know your biopsychosocial history. But after the first session, now, if you go to the first session and you really get like creeped out bad vibes, you don't need to go again. You are allowed to clinician shop. But if you go and you're like, I don't know, I didn't get much out of this, go to a second session, go to a third session. Sometimes it's just, again, we're just getting information and it might not have felt the best, but if you go the second time and you start getting into the sessions, you might find that, oh, okay, this does click. This does work. I like to give my clients homework the very first session. And if I don't get the complete intake in before that, that's fine. I will stop the session and continue it the following week, but to give them a chance to kind of talk a little bit more and give them some homework and some things to do before the next session. Now, I have people that tell me though, I don't really feel comfortable with my therapist and I don't know what to do. I'm going to tell you, talk to your therapist before you just up and leave. And you are allowed to do that, but before you just up and leave, talk to your clinician. If you really, truly don't feel comfortable talking to your clinician, that is a big problem because we are entrusted with your deepest, darkest. I am very privileged that my clients feel comfortable enough to tell me everything because you need to be able to tell your clinician everything because you are not going to benefit from therapy if you are only telling them 50% or only telling them some of the stuff. Telling them everything is what's really going to help. So if you don't feel comfortable, now I am not talking about having to take the time to get comfortable because that does take time. I don't expect my clients to, some of them can, and you are more than welcome to trauma dump right off the bat. That is your prerogative. But if you don't want to do that, we're going to work our way into that. We're going to let you feel comfortable and to the point where you feel like, okay, now I can tell you the worst of the worst or the deepest of the deepest. But if you're not feeling comfortable in the sense of with this person, say something. You are allowed to say something. Your clinician is there for you. You are not there for your clinician. Every about 3 or 4 weeks, ask my clients, are we going in the direction that you hope to go? Are we hitting on the things that you want to hit on? Now, I've had clients that come in and say they want to work on A, and we have not. They have avoided it. I'm going to let you go at your pace, but if you keep avoiding A, I'm going to call you out. Why do you keep avoiding that? That's why you came here. If you're not comfortable yet, that's fine. But you need to let me know. I don't like to use the word need. It would benefit you to let me know what is going on. And if you don't feel, if you're worried about what I'm going to think or feel, that's a problem for me. I don't want people to think that. I don't think your clinician would want you to think that. So I would like to know so that I can correct it. Now, ethically, clinicians are not allowed to continue treating someone that they can't treat. If we know that we are not helping you, we are supposed to refer you out. to someone who can hopefully help you. Just like if we cannot treat you or know that we can, like I am very biased against MPD. I will not treat MPD and I will refer them out because it is unethical for me to treat MPD, knowing that I have a bias against them. So talk to your clinician. You need to feel comfortable. And I don't like to use the word need, but when it comes to therapy, you need to feel comfortable. It is uncomfortable. Therapy is not a comfortable thing when you are talking about stuff that is causing you deep distress. But you need to feel comfortable with your clinician. And if you don't, you need to say something. And you are perfectly within your rights to say something. This is your session, and you're perfectly within your right to find a new clinician. So keep going until you click with that person. And you will know when you click with that person. You will know, and it will be life-changing. So going into 2024, if you feel that you need therapy, please don't put it off any longer. And if you're already in therapy, that is amazing. And I hope it is working out for you. And if it's not, please talk to your clinician or find a new one. I know people that have gotten turned off from therapy and don't want to go because they had a bad experience. Don't let one bad experience, don't let two bad experiences stop you. Find that person. So in 2024, again, we have this blank, empty book, 66 pages to write your story. How do you want your story to look? Now, even if on every page, you just write something positive. Now, people might say, but I don't have something positive every single day. You might. If you look around, we are so good. We are so good at being negative. Broke a nail. That's a negative. Filmed a podcast, recorded a podcast. My microphone wasn't on. That's a negative. But on the other end, my nails are looking pretty good. Yeah, that's not a positive. They're supposed to look good. My microphone's working. That's not a positive. It's supposed to be working. So our negatives can be teeny tiny and our positives must be huge. I heard this a long time ago and it has stuck with me. So I cannot remember exactly where I heard it, but if it has stuck with me, it means I've researched it. It takes plus or minus 11 positives to erase one negative or to counteract one negative. That might not seem like a big deal, but then there's 2 negatives, that's 22 positives, 3 negatives, 33 positives. Why is that? Because we are again, a negative can be anything, but a positive has to be this amazing positive. No, it doesn't. So in 2024, maybe that's something that you want to work on. Changing your perspective a little bit. Cognitive reframing, looking at stuff, not to find the sunshine and rainbows, but to say, what is positive? For me, someone asked me yesterday, what was the best thing that happened to you in 2023? And I said, honestly, I woke up every day and so did everyone in my family. And I was able to put a roof over my head and food on the table for my son. And I was able to help out my family when they needed it. That's what was positive for me in 2023. Now, other people were talking about, and it's not a right or wrong answer. People were talking about things that were positive. They graduated, which is a positive. They got a new job, which is a positive. All of those are fine. There's no right or wrong positives. But the thing is, we are looking for big things. And instead, look around. A beautiful sunrise, a beautiful sunset. My son loves the rain. I hate the cold. My son loves the rain. The other night, it was pouring here, like pouring. And the next morning, I asked my son, I said, hey, did you hear the rain? And he goes, rain? Yes. And he was so happy. He does it every time it's raining. He's like, yes, that's a positive for him. And it may not seem like, well, it's like, I don't want to write it rained, but if that's a positive, if that's something you enjoy and you like, it's just one thing and it can turn everything around. My inmates in the prison, on my caseload. There's so much negativity in prison. And I would talk about, so sadly, that brings everybody else into negativity. Let's change that. You can't control people, but you can influence them. So I gave a lot of my inmates the assignment of just say good morning. When you walk out on the yard, just say good morning to everybody that you encounter. See what happens. And they were so surprised. All the inmates that I gave that assignment to that did it said to me, wow, I got highs back from like 90% of the people, even officers and staff. It was like a smile and a high. And that changes your mood for the day oftentimes, the mood of people around you oftentimes. That's a positive. I said hi, and they said hi back. Those little positives are the things that we need to hang on to and add to counteract all of these negatives that we are so good at giving ourselves. So 2024, what is your story going to look like? Every day you get the opportunity to rewrite your story. It's not starting over. It's just, what do I want to change today? What do I want to work on today? What am I going to focus on today? And sometimes you might be having a bad day, and that's okay. I'm going to sit in my feelings. I'm going to be angry. I'm going to be sad. But tomorrow, I'm going to continue on. Try it out. So on that note, I would love to hear, what are some of the things, not resolutions, what are some of the things that you would like to work on and see differently? And what do you like your story? What do you want your story to look like in 2024? I would love to hear that. So please, if you don't feel comfortable leaving in the comments, you can email wcwycw1@gmail.com. If you want me to discuss it on a podcast, I will discuss it on a podcast. If you don't, I won't. But I would like to know how you want to write your story and how you're going to write your story in 2024. No resolutions. So you can also email about wine suggestions, glass suggestions, topic suggestions, guest suggestions, or just to say hi. Leave us a comment. Click the little bell on YouTube that reminds you, that notifies you every time we drop another episode, which is about every 2 weeks. But sometimes, like this one, is going to be once a week. It depends on what's going on. Depends on what's going on in the world, what's going on our schedule. But we're going to try to hit the every 2 weeks. And if we could do every week, that's going to be great. But click that button so that you find out. And please and thank you to continue to follow us, to subscribe, to like, to share, to comment, and have a I hope you had a wonderful and safe New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. And I wish you only the best in 2024. Thanks.